Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. So, are fox hunters an ethnic minority? No, I haven't taken leave of my senses, although it is very hot here, so I can't rule it out. But I was reading an article in which a fox hunting group is actually trying to prepare a legal case to have themselves ruled a protected group, and they're convinced, mind you, that they can win this legal protection on the basis of being an ethnic minority. So, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to treat this as if it's serious just to see where it goes. One of my sort of proofs by contradiction. Now, obviously, not being a lawyer, I can't actually prove anything. That's going to have to rely on the courts, if indeed they present this to the courts. And you know, I am going to have to go along with a bit of a dose of ridicule here because I'm sorry, it is ridiculous. But I am going to say they have maybe one or two genuine causes. It's just that they've insisted on wrapping it up in the silliest packaging they could find. The article reported that the chair of this group, known as Hunting Kind, says that they've been advised by a leading human rights lawyer that fox hunters unequivocally, that was the word used, unequivocally qualify for legal protection under the Equality Act. The lawyer in question is not named. Maybe that's an oversight on the part of The Guardian rather than deliberate evasion on the part of this group. They also claim there are 5 tests to meet the requirement to be classed as an ethnic minority, and they passed them all easily. Again, no mention of what these tests are or where they may be found in law. It seems dubious because when you consider other legal explanations for the use of the term ethnic minority, it seems to be a lot narrower than these fox hunters are hoping for. For example, on the UK government website, it specifically says that when the government use the term ethnic minority, they specifically exclude white British, as this is the majority ethnicity in the UK. It notes that being white is an ethnicity, and there are some white ethnicities which are minorities in the UK, such as Roma, but white British is definitely not amongst them. And although not all fox hunters and supporters are white, which actually surely makes the task of assigning them as an ethnic minority even trickier, the vast majority are not only white but white British, let's be honest. It would seem odd that the UK government would be so clear that ethnic minority excludes white British in contradiction to UK law, especially one concerned with discrimination. But they insist there are these 5 tests. They're just not mentioned anywhere in the article. But that's in the article. They didn't write the article. Could be The Guardian being lazy. I mean, wouldn't an obvious question to ask be, what are these 5 tests? Where may we see them written into law? And then, you know, include that in the article. So hunting I went, no pun intended. I actually began by trying to find out if it was in European law, because usually these things, I've just been used over the last few years to lots of people that you might associate with being on Brexit. And I know fox hunters aren't necessarily pro-Brexit as a group, but, you know, they do tend that way because they tend to be Conservative supporters. And they always seem to go, oh, we want this thing done, we're going to go to the European court. So I thought, is there a case in European law? So I found a positive reference to the fact that at least as far back as 2017, only the UK and Sweden of the EU member states at the time defined discrimination on ethnic grounds. There's no definition anywhere else. So it seems unlikely there's a European-wide law for this, unless one has emerged very recently. But good news for the hunters because the UK sort of has one. The problem is when you search for the term ethnic in the Equality Act, which is the act they say that allows them to be defined as an ethnic minority, you only find references to race or national origins. But fox hunters are not a distinct race. You know, if you get a random group of, say, 1,000 people who enthusiastically support fox hunting, and a random group of 1,000 people who are trenchantly opposed to fox hunting, and if both samples are white British, I'm going to guess there's not much genetic distinction between the two groups. As for national origin, well, they all come from Britain. Same as the many more of us who want fox hunting abolished and properly this time. And it's not entirely clear what they think being granted such protection would mean. Because, you know, other protected groups, they cite themselves LGBTQ plus groups, as well as ethnic minorities. It's like, okay, so you're given this legal protection. I mean, it's not going to be legal protection to hunt foxes. Like, you're not going to be allowed to break laws. So if fox hunting is outlawed, even if fox hunters are regarded as a culturally distinct group who represent a minority in this country, which I guess you could argue, although I don't think that makes you an ethnic minority, it wouldn't follow that they would then be permitted to hunt foxes. So it's not going to be protection to hunt foxes. Like, let's say you've got a clear case of an actual ethnic minority, and it's a group from some country across the world somewhere with customs which are perfectly legal there, but not in the UK. Well, they're not allowed to break that law just because they are an ethnic minority. Like, drinking is legal. I can get drunk in public in the UK. I mean, as long as I don't cause any disorder. But I can be drunk on the streets of Britain perfectly legally, as long as I'm not driving or, like, as I say, causing any disorder. But if I go to Dubai, I know I'm not allowed to do that. I don't get to claim protection on the basis of being an ethnic minority. And if fox hunting is completely banned, and properly, then there won't actually be such a thing as a fox hunter, will there? So the term will cease to have any meaning. So how can you try and argue you should have protection on the basis of being a group in favour of something that is largely illegal already and could become way more illegal very soon, because Labour have put in the manifesto about, dealing with fox hunting anyway? It would be like Italy giving special protection to supporters of the mafia. Now, before I dismiss the entire thing as just completely crazy, I am going to point out they don't actually specifically say they want this protection so that they can hunt foxes, no matter what Labour do with the laws on hunting foxes. I'm going to point out they do name some specific forms of discrimination for which they may have some genuine grievance. They cite the fact that people within their group, their tribe, these fox hunters, have lost work or contracts and been abused on social media. Now, losing contracts might need a bit of explanation there. Like, is that just like, someone puts out a contract saying, we want you to, like, replace our windows. They come around and go, oh no, I don't want you because you hunt foxes. That's like, if someone wants to withhold a contract for a group or person who holds views they don't approve of, that's the free market for you. That's fine. We can do that. I don't want to generalise, but fox hunters do tend to be very much in favour of conservative policies and therefore unregulated capitalism. So they don't get to complain in the tiny number of cases where the system doesn't work in their favour. But, you can imagine a situation, let's say they have a job, they're doing the job well enough, and then they lose that job because it's discovered they have these views. Oh no, we don't like these views. I mean, I don't think that's right. But it still depends on why they lost the job. Was it because they just had these views, someone found them, and they go, no, you're getting sacked? Or was it because they kept ramming it down everyone's throat and wouldn't shut up even when asked to by the boss? It's the same with alleged abuse on social media. Like, are you being abused on social media? Or are you airing your views and lots of people airing counter views to it and you're going, oh no, you're abusing me? Or are we talking about personal abuse? If there's personal abuse and no argument, yeah, okay, that's not right. But either way, if you think you've been unfairly dismissed due to having these views, or you're abused on social media just for having the views, I can see why you would think, oh, well, we should be protected from that sort of abuse and discrimination. I get that. If general hate speech or unfair dismissal procedures aren't strong enough, you're going, well, they need to be stronger. But I don't see how it's realistic to win this protection on the basis of being an ethnic minority when clearly they are not. And I also don't see why being supportive of a viewpoint, such as wanting to terrorise and torture animals, should be legally protected when other political views aren't. Like, in terms of what might be reasonable concerns that they have about discrimination, surely we're talking general protections online and in the workplace. And if they don't think they're strong enough, why aren't they simply lobbying to strengthen the law for this? Could it be because we're talking about a group who have a strong tendency towards, as I say, conservative ideas, and conservative ideas don't really like the idea of regulation or strengthening the law against discrimination? But they're not at all conflicted about giving themselves special advantage in law over others. A classic case of the hypocrisy of extremists. They think they should get special protections, but only them. But if so, I'm not sure that's a good enough reason to be pushing the current line. I'm not a lawyer, and I haven't seen their legal case. But I see nothing in the legislation that they cite which even seems to raise a hopeful angle for them. But I do very much hope this goes to court. I could do with a laugh later on when the Supreme Court takes about 5 minutes to consider the arguments and tells them to go away. And as they insist they have a watertight case, because they're absolutely convinced. Oh, two top lawyers, I don't know their names because they're not mentioned. Two top lawyers have said, oh yeah, it's absolutely easy. We can easily argue this case. So I see no reason for them to delay in presenting this legal case. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for further content and click the like button. You can also sign up for memberships if you'd like to support the channel further. Thanks for watching. And until next time, I'll see you later.